you've been really open recently and you've shared your story, but how you've been dealing with it.
So in a nutshell, when I was younger, I was quite a big lad. So 13, 14, 15, I used to eat a lot. Didn't really understand why I did it. I just did a lot. My parents were feeders. It wasn't their fault at all. It was just kind of the generation I was and where my parents were. I played a lot of sport, played a lot of rugby, really struggled with my body image because I was quite a big lad compared to everyone else. So I used to wear vests underneath my shirts, underneath my t-shirts, and I played. I'd wear like 2 or 3 layers, even in the summer, because I was so worried about my body image, and I was ashamed really. And as I got older, I still did hold quite a lot of weight, which I struggled with. I started playing rugby professionally, which went well. Kind of lost a bit of weight to make it was either lose weight or don't play at all. So I lost weight. Got selected for the England Saxons. Went away on tour, played for England, which was which was amazing. Highlight my career. But then I suffered some bullying with some coaching staff, and that sent me down the path of kind of the depression, anxiety thing, which then kind of latched onto the binge eating and the eating as well. So I had a few things going on at once, and I wasn't acknowledging it. So I was going out drinking, trying to get rid of this feeling that I had. Same with eating, but you're never going to fill that hole, because at the end of the day, it's emotion, and nothing physical can really fill that, apart from maybe talking or therapy. But that went on until I was about 27, 26, 28. I started noticing bad things, started trying to see therapists, but I couldn't find the right one. When I first started therapy, I thought we were going to find someone to be perfect straight away, but it took me a while to find someone. Eventually, it came to a head about last November. My symptoms got really bad. I was doing things I never used to do. I was talking to myself a lot more. I was like really, really like sad, or I was really, really angry. I just couldn't control my emotions, and I ended up reaching out to a friend who put me in contact with a company called Cognacity, which helps elite sportsmen to deal with anxiety, depression. And I spoke to a doctor. They diagnosed me with depression, anxiety, and a binge eating problem. And I started meds started antidepressants last November. And since then, like it's not a case you just start taking pills and you're back fine. All it does is it kind of, so say if you're so up and down like there, all it does is it brings it down back to not normal, but makes you less sensitive about the highs and lows, if you know what I mean. But no, I'm really happy with them, and I've sorted myself out diet wise, mindfulness. I'm doing yoga and meditation, but I'm kind of on a better track now than I was. But yeah, it took me a long time and a lot of soul searching to kind of work out what I needed to do and which way was the best way of doing it. Sorry, that was such a long-winded answer. I know you probably wanted that nutshell.
Do you talk to any of your teammates during this time, or anyone at all?
When I was back when I was playing, and I was starting to go through stuff, it wasn't really it's still a bit taboo now, but it wasn't really the case of. I actually did try and talk to a young coach. I said to him, "I'm really not feeling right in my head mentally. I don't know what's going on. I feel really up and down, sad." And he said, I was 20, I think I was 24 at the time, and he said to me, "Look, I wouldn't say that out loud, just in case the coaches hear you. They might not pick you then, and people think you're being soft or not, kind of the whole kind of man up thing." So that really set me back at the time. That kind of spiraled me more, because I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't be feeling like this. I don't know how to deal with it. But now it's a lot different. It still needs to change far more for my liking. But when I was the last 2 years of playing, I was seeing people starting their symptoms. I could see like triggers of people that, not symptoms. I could see people's what am I trying to say here? I could see
their behaviors
and characteristics. I could see it, and I wouldn't go up and be like, that you've got anxiety, you've got depression. I just talked to them. I was going to go for a coffee, have an open conversation. Like nothing, no leading questions, quite open questions, and like people started to trust me. Not trust me. We all trust each other, but there's one thing trusting someone on the field, but if you trust them off the field, you probably have a better relationship, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. And did you actually find that a lot of people really could relate to what you were going through, and actually then they opened up to you as well? Or was it still quite difficult to have that conversation with your team players?
No, I think because boys trusted me, and I was a bit older than most people. I was one of the oldest in the squad. No, I wasn't one of the oldest, but I was quite open, and I was happy to talk to anyone because I didn't want people to feel like I felt when I was younger, because there was no one to talk to. So there was boys that I said, look, the option's always there. A lot of the young academy boys came and spoke to me and just talked to me as not like a fight. Players ring me and chat to me now and ask for a coffee every now and again, but then move on. So I allowed myself to feel a bit down this morning. Went to the gym and I feel really good now. So it's amazing. Like, you can easily get into a rut and stay in that position all day or a week, but acknowledging it and moving on is really important to me.
Yeah, and do you find that you now really identify with your triggers and you know what you have to do to get out?
Yeah, I understand my triggers, which is food. Food's one of my triggers that I feel like it makes me feel better, but it doesn't. Same with alcohol, and it's excess really. Anything with excess, if I can't have that, I'll have something else to the excess. But I'm kind of pretty happy with my with food now, my triggers. The weird thing is sometimes when you do feel low, because you felt like that for so long, you feel comfortable feeling like that, and you want to isolate yourself or just lie around or just go to sleep, which I do sometimes do. I think so much that I just want to go to sleep and just switch off. But no, I'm pretty comfortable with my triggers now, and what helps me deal with it, and how to keep moving forward, if you know what I mean.
For men between the age of 25 and 50, suicide is the biggest killer, which is really scary. And I think there's been more suicide deaths this month and last month from suicide than coronavirus. So obviously now is the best time to be talking about it, and there is still stigma attached, but I think there is starting to be that shift with conversations and it's becoming a bit less taboo. How did yours manifest? So was it on and off the pitch, or did it get worse when you were experiencing anxiety at rugby? How did it kind of all manifest for you?
So with the binge eating thing, and that was just going on. Oh, sorry, I think that was kind of underlined, and I thought that was normal. So I think that was different from the anxiety and depression. That kind of, when I was bullied with that coach, so I was playing, there was no one else fit in my position, so I was playing a lot of rugby, but getting really bad feedback and not very constructive feedback, and being blamed for a lot of stuff. So there's one thing playing badly and then look, you won't play for a week or two to get better, but to play badly and then get picked over and over and over again and still get the same feedback, it was the worst kind of feeling I could have, because I felt like I couldn't do anything right. And that went from the anxiety of that and the depression from how I felt, that went from on the field and then manifested off the field. But to be honest, I'm not saying I didn't help myself, but I suppose I wasn't aware for a long time. And when I did become more aware, I started to help myself more. I think there is a lot to say about people that have identified it, worked out what's going on, but then they need to take that plunge to help themselves, because as we all know, talking does help, but you need to take that step first.
Yeah, definitely. And what's your number one advice that you would give to someone who's suffering right now, who might be watching this and really lost with where to even start?
I think acknowledging that how you're feeling is okay. You're allowed to feel like this. Just because you can't see it, or you're not in a cast, you're not taking medication for it, doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel like this. Everyone's allowed to feel differently all the time. But I think if you are really struggling, I think just talk to the closest person you have. And if you talk to them and they're not very helpful, then you know more about them than you need to. Just be honest to yourself and reach out if you need to help. There's so many people out there. There's Mind Charity, Samaritans. There's loads of different people you can talk to, and it's completely okay to talk.
Yeah, I think talking is the number one thing, really. It gives you such a huge sense of relief. And I think actually when people come back and then they say, oh yeah, I know someone who's felt like that, or they felt like that as well, it just makes you so not feel like you're alone. How would you say you are now?
So let me think. So what I try and do is I try and range it out of 10. So at my worst, I was probably down to threes, twos, twos and ones. you are having like suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. But I was dealing with it for so long, I'll be brutally honest, that became the norm for me. Like, and it was almost laughable day to day. I'd never do it. I just would never do it. But I would just scenarios, right? So not make scenarios up in my head, and I'd be like, that's ridiculous. Tom, stop talking, stop thinking about that. So that was kind of, but now I'm probably sitting about a 7, 8. And some days where I'm up at 9, 10. Some days I'm about 6, 5. But it's slowly shifting year by year by year, which is definitely an improvement. But I will always reflect on where I was to where I am now. I don't regret how I felt before, because I wouldn't be who I am today because of it. The only thing I regret is probably as a group of people, as society, in 10 years ago, the taboo was still there, which is still terrible. Like obviously now obviously the suicide rate's going back up, just because the situation we're in at the moment is very tough, especially for mental health wise. It's really tough. So the government have got a lot to do. I've got friends who work in the mental health sector, and they said, look, we're inundated with cases, and the new cases as well, because people are obviously very, very scared about the COVID situation. But then if they had underlying mental health issues beforehand, they've been exacerbated by the situation of an isolation as well, as we're seeing students now. And it is a very, very tough place to be at the moment. So I think that the more we talk and the more resources that we can use and work together, the better it will be.
Do you think that seeing a professional was the breakthrough for you? Like, what do you think would have happened if you had never seen the professionals at Cognacity?
I think I would have pursued something anyway, because I knew I wasn't right personally, and I'm married, and I couldn't do that to my wife. She had a different person coming home from work every day, and sometimes I would be really quiet, sometimes I'd be really emotional, or I'd be really happy, and I felt every day she woke up, she didn't know which kind of Tom she was going to get. It was the same with coming home. And like if I was single, yeah, definitely it'd have been, I think I'd have probably just left it, and never, who knows what would have happened. It wouldn't have been the best thing. I probably would have, I don't know, isolate myself, or drinking, eating, who knows. But I think if I hadn't have seen the person from Cognacity, my rugby career would have suffered even more. And I think it would have taken someone would have I may have had an intervention by family and friends, and it may have even led to going to like just not a hospital, but somewhere like, not a rehab center, but something the same, to kind of take me out of the situation, to kind of reset me and get the help I needed.
And for people who perhaps can't afford therapy, or don't really know how to access it, what do you think that they can do from home? Are there any tricks and tips that you have that really helped you on your worst days? Or do you think it's just so individualized that you can't really give that advice?
So I did a mental health first aid course in January this year, and it gave me the tools to help out myself and also identify other people's behaviors as well. But there's a few things that really do help you pick up mentally, and that's exercise, getting outside. I know it's we're getting towards that time of the year where it is quite hard, but exercise, getting out in the sunshine, going for walks, anything like that. The endorphins you get in your body and the vitamin D from outside really helps. Nutrition as well, the different types of food, like eating loads of like really bad food, like I don't know, like high in like saturated fats or burgers and stuff like that, chocolate. It's all that comfort food as well, that you think you feel good. You feel good for about half an hour, and then that sugar crash, you're going to feel really low again. It's like a drug almost. So understanding your body, making sure you get some exercise, talking to people. And I think when you do feel low, allowing yourself to feel, having that time to feel low for, I don't know, put a time limit on it, half an hour, or whatever it's going to be, and then try and break that kind of negative spiral by doing something else, go for a walk, or I don't know, having a conversation with a friend, having a FaceTime, whatever it's going to be, do a jigsaw, do some coloring in. Anything that's outgoing, that's mindful for you, will help you. I found in lockdown, I started doing a lot of yoga, and it was just nice to relax, like on my own, stretch. My wife started doing it as well. It helped us both. But don't don't knock anything until you've tried it, because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You do something you don't like it. At least you tried it. Like, it's not going to, nothing bad's going to happen. It's just, you need to try things to see if they help you. And that's a big thing as well. Acknowledge that if you want to try something and you need the help, please try and accept that you need the help, rather than just say, oh no, I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. Take that first step. It is the hardest step, but it's the best thing you'll do.
Yeah, that's perfect advice. And especially saying that when you actually do feel really low, actually just allowing yourself to feel low, because I think when you're getting yourself in that state of just trying to get out of it and thinking I shouldn't be feeling like that, it just makes it a million times worse. So thank you so much. I think this is going to be really helpful for so many, not just young males, but definitely it's a conversation that needs to be had more. And yeah, thank you for sharing your story as well.
Thank you very much for having me on.